Hey, this is Ryan from Dakota Angler Outfitter, and today we're going to be tying the Flexmaster Streamer. We're using a size 1 Partridge Universal Predator hook and 140 denier Vivus power thread in black. Start your thread at the front of the hook. Trim off your excess. I'm taking 2 marabou blood quill feathers. Depending how thick they are, you might need to only need 1, sometimes you'll need 2. Kind of match the ends up, and you want it to be just a little longer than the hook. I like tying it in at the front because then you get a nice smooth body the whole way back. Do a couple loose wraps, 3 loose wraps, and start tightening it down. Trim off your excess up here. Clean that up a little bit, and then kind of hold your feathers on top of the hook, and I kind of lightly spiral my thread to the back. Helps keep it on top of the hook and keep it from rolling around. And once you get about even with the barb of the hook, go and start cinching it down. Kind of like going tight back up as well, and then go back down just to make sure you got it nice and cinched down. Got a nice big full tail on that. Then we're going to take a few pieces of crinkle mirror flash in silver. You can do anywhere from 3 to 6 pieces is fine, depending on your preference. I like to make them just a touch longer than the tail. Tie the close one in, loose wrap, and then you can tighten it down to keep it on the close side. Like that. And go forward a little bit. Bring this to the far side of the hook and bring it back. And tighten her down and just trim them up so they're both even. Just a touch longer than the marabou. Alright, now we're going to take a new material from Hairline Dubbin called UV Life Flex Wrap. This is the white clear color. You'll tie it in just by, you can strip a little bit off the end of the rope here and tie in just that very bare end piece. Make sure you got her nice and cinched down. You're going to bring it up about 2/3 of the way up the hook probably. And with this, kind of like if you're using an Estaz type material, you're going to wrap a little bit and then fold it all back just to make everything kind of flow towards the back of the hook. Keep your wraps pretty close, but don't overlap them. Gives a nice kind of rubber leg buggy look to your flies. And keep going forward. And just keep in mind that I'm folding back after each wrap. And I'm about 2/3 of the way up. So I'll go ahead and tie that off. It's a little tricky to tie it off with all the rubber legs and stuff. You're probably going to bind down a few, which is alright. You can just clean it up later. And you can kind of just take and fold all your materials back too and bind them down if you like. Alright, so you've got your tail and your body done. We're going to take a couple crusher legs, your rubber legs, and tie in 2 on each side of the hook. Kind of tie them in right on the top, and then you can split them to each side that way. And you can trim those about 1/3 of the way down the tail, I would say. You can kind of position them however you like once you get them tied in. I kind of like them so they stick out to the side like that. Then you get a little more wiggle out of them when your fly's in the water. Now we're going to take another material from Hairline called Polar Reflector Chenille. And we're going to tie this in at the front for kind of a bloody collar on this fly. And then kind of go right down to where you tied the marabou in with your thread. And then, as we did with the Life Flex wrap for the body, you kind of wrap this and fold it back with each turn just to get a nice, even, kind of backwards flowing palmer out of it. And just keep wrapping, making sure you're button your wraps right up against each other. And we're going to put a fish skull on this, but I like doing an extra wrap or two, so underneath the fish skull is all material also. Tie that off. And if you have any stray fibers, I usually just take them, fold them all back, tie them down. The fish skull is going to cover up a lot of this anyways. So then now I take it and whip finish. Like that. Now we're going to take some Loctite brushable super glue and kind of cover that head. I kind of like holding all the fibers back so none of them get trapped down in there. And don't be shy about putting glue on this either. Just a little bit more. Like that. And we're going to take our fish skull, put it with the heavy side facing down, make sure everything's looking alright, then go ahead and push it onto the hook. It kind of spreads that collar out and gives you a cool kind of bloody collar look for this fly. But then just make sure you've got a little bit of room in front of the skull here to tie down a little bit of thread to make a little thread dam to hold everything together. So now I'll start my thread up here in front of the skull. Just get it started. You don't want to do a ton of wraps up here because you'll just cover your eyes up, or your fish or your hook up. So with this, just do a few wraps, whip finish it, and we'll glue this as well. The biggest thing is just don't do too many and cover the eye of your hook up. Make sure that's cinched down. And we're going to take our Loctite brushable super glue again and kind of coat that thread head like this. Don't worry about getting it in the eye, you can always just punch it out later. And I also like going on the fish skull with the glue and covering these eyes up, because then it makes your head a lot more durable and your eyes don't fall off nearly as easily that way. But that's it. It's a pretty simple streamer. You can adapt the colors and everything to your local fish. It's a good trout fly as well as a really good warm water fly for smallmouth and white bass and even largemouth. So thanks for watching.